Welcome back to PCOS Unfiltered. Nourish, heal, thrive. I'm your host, Lindsie, and today I'm so excited to have Kerri here with me again. You may also know her as the Sugar Knockout Coach. She is a fellow health coach who helps people break free from sugar cravings, understand what's really in their food, and make empowered choices for lasting health. Today, we're diving into the world of nutrition and ingredient labels, what to look for, what to question, and how to navigate all the confusing claims on packaging. Whether you're living with PCOS, managing blood sugar, or just want to feel confident in the grocery store, this conversation is full of practical tips you can start using today. But before I go any further, I have something very powerful to share with you. This October, I'm hosting a virtual event called Unwritten Healing Beyond the Diagnosis. And if you're ready to finally go deeper than symptom management, this is for you. On October 9th, the 16th, and 23rd, you'll hear real stories of healing from women who've been where you are, including Kerri, and learn practical tools that actually work, mind, body, and beyond. Tap the link in the show notes to grab your free spot and find out more. You don't have to settle for managing it. It's time to rewrite the story your doctor never told you was possible. And as a reminder, the content shared on PCOS Unfiltered is for informational and educational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests are not intended to serve as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, exercise, or treatment plan. The information shared is based on personal experience and expert interviews and is not a substitute for professional medical guidance. Now, grab your favorite snack, the healthy kind of course, and let's get into it. What are the marketing tricks on labels that consumers should be aware of?
This is such a good one. I actually created a Surviving the Supermarket guide, which I'd be happy to share with your people. So let's look at this one. This one is organic, non-GMO, whole grain. There's a whole bunch of things on here. They actually have a marketing term for it. It's called greenwashing. Make it look pretty, sound nice. So there's words like light. Light just means less fat than the original. That doesn't really mean anything. But I grew up on that. So I have to, when
Oh,
I see
yeah.
light, I'm like, oh no, wait. Or sugar free. Multigrain, that's another one. Love that one. That means it was a grain at one point, but this is a processed food, right? This was a
Yeah.
grain. It's not
Yeah.
really a grain anymore.
Yeah.
Natural is an awesome one. This is natural. What does that even mean? It was made from a natural substance that went through a process that now isn't. I mean, they're trying to crack down on what you can and cannot say and the restrictions. We're still transitioning from that.
Yeah.
Low carb is another one. Just because something says it's low carb, you still need to see what the actual ingredients are.
Yeah.
Again, that's the whole story. Fortified is really funny. I once saw a doctor who told me that for my iron, I should eat fortified bread.
We were
Yeah,
just talking about that the other day. Yeah.
yeah, fortified. You're like, what?
Mhm.
Gluten-free is my favorite because I love gluten-free products, but Cool Ranch Doritos are gluten-free. So I think they're making a gluten-free Oreo. And I actually posted about gluten-free Oreos and someone bashed me and was like, well, gluten-free people still want to enjoy Oreos. I'm like, you missed the whole point of that post was that just
Yeah.
it's not a health food because it says gluten-free. Do love
Yeah.
the fact that things are gluten-free, but Cool Ranch Doritos, like, my friend tells me this
Yeah.
because she's gluten-free and she still wants to eat Cool Ranch Doritos. That's how I know that they're gluten-free. But sugar-free and low fat, those are the ones like no fat, low fat, like oh my gosh, it brings back like anxiety from back in the day. But low fat, because I did this forever. I went through fat free, and this is probably where my sugar addiction like really started to take off. If there is no fat in there, there is a ton of sugar or
Yeah.
artificial sweeteners because it
Yeah.
needs flavor, right? It needs
Yeah.
fat is where like the flavor is. Now we're starting to see that there are fats that are healthy. There are some
Yeah.
that aren't, but it is artificial sweeteners, which again we talked about are just bad. They're just bad. Like sucralose is a thyroid disruptor. They know this. It's still in our food. And the other thing about artificial sweeteners, they're so sweet. Sucralose is so sweet that our taste buds just become dull. And so when we start removing that stuff, like a strawberry doesn't taste great, even though they're sweet and ripe and delicious. Honey doesn't taste as sweet as it should because our
Yeah.
taste buds are so used to super duper sweet that's not
Mhm.
natural. It's not natural because it's chemical. And so as I said before, these cravings for sweets, um when you eat something like sucralose, even though it's calorie free, it's sending a signal. You taste something sweet, it sends a signal to the brain, we're eating, let's get ready for digestion. The stomach is like, yay, and then no food shows up. And so what does
Yeah.
the stomach do? Like, we're hungry, digestion's turned on, where's food? So then it starts sending out signals for food. And this is how artificial sweeteners make, like, we gain weight, because we eat more food.
More.
We
Yeah.
eat more food. And I mean, for my folks who have sugar addiction, like when they're hungry, they're like, they want sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, they're still on the tables. I'm still amazed by it. They're still at the coffee shops. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I mean, if that's all you're feeding your body, that's all it knows, and it's going to ask for more of that because it thinks that that's what it needs. And I was even thinking about this too with like with you were mentioning like the artificial like flavorings and stuff even too,
yeah,
where like strawberries, might taste sweeter and stuff. Because if your body only knows asking for the artificially flavored, strawberry flavored, whatever it is, like
yeah,
that's all it's gonna know. So when you actually have a strawberry, your body's gonna think, well, what the heck is this?
yeah.
And
Like, eh. And
yeah,
then I mean,
exactly.
and then you're putting sugar on your strawberries. Like,
Oh
what?
my gosh, I used to do that.
I used to do it too. I used to
Yes.
do it too. It's all right. So it's funny. A couple weeks ago, one of my clients was like, "Have you heard of this allulose?" I'm like, "No, I haven't really heard of it, but somebody like that I respect in the gut community uses it in her
Mhm.
products, so it can't be that bad." I tasted a creamer with it. It was so sweet
Yeah.
with the smallest amount, and I basically was like, "I don't know what it does to your metabolism, but I'll tell you what it's going to do to your taste buds.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
sweet. It's
Yeah.
crazy."
And yeah, I mean that's another good point because your taste buds will change as you start
Yeah.
making these changes. I know like mine definitely did, even just
Mhm.
going gluten free. That was yeah, I probably replaced like we kind of mentioned, replaced some of those things with more sugar heavy items. Um, but even just, you know, gluten free item like they're removing the gluten items,
Yeah.
my taste buds changed. And then yes, once I started removing more sugar, my taste buds changed. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something to keep in mind too. If you're like, "Oh, why does this not taste right or it
Yeah.
tastes different than I remember?" Yeah,
Yeah, like a sweet
that's why.
potato actually tastes sweet if you're
Hmm.
not eating all the artificial sweeteners and all the sugars. I mean,
Yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, and so those claims, low fat, sugar free, would you say those are reliable?
I mean, yes and no, right? If you just want something sugar free, but if you want to actually care about health and like dig a little bit deeper into what that is, like, you just have to be your own advocate, your
Yeah.
own detective. And like we said, start small so it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Because there's so much more. Yeah. You have to think like, what is my goal here for sure?
Yeah.
And your goal is going to change,
Hmm.
hopefully. But like you said, if it says that, depending on what your goal is, you may want to turn it over. So,
Yeah. I mean, remember Snackwells? I think we talked about this last time. I think they were a fat-free cookie, and
oh my gosh,
I ate the heck out of them. I also
there was
drank
a
Crystal
big,
Light, which was
yeah,
sugar-free, which was
yeah,
made with, I mean, I think aspartame, not even sucralose at that
yeah,
point.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I remember the Fiber One bars back in the day
Oh
too. I mean,
yeah.
I know they're still around, but oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
used to eat a lot of those too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've done it. We've been there.
hmm For someone new to label reading, what's a simple step that they can take to start making better food choices?
I think you start with like what are some of the non-negotiables and what are the things that you love? Like I have a client who loves ketchup, right? Like she was going to eat ketchup no matter what. So
Mhm.
can you pick the 2 to 3 things, 2 to 3 at the most or 1 to 2
Exactly.
that you're like I love this. I'm not going to not eat ketchup, but I know I can't have the one with high fructose corn syrup and just start looking for alternatives.
Mhm.
Read labels and try them. I always think condiments are the best place to start because a lot can hide in there, like we talked about the dressings, the mayonnaise. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I love mayonnaise and ketchup, like I do, but I have to find the
Yeah.
right versions. Um, and some there are some companies that are doing it right. I love Primal Kitchen. I use their
I
sugar-free
love their
ketchup
stuff.
because it's
Hmm
actually sugar-free. Their mayo is actually made with avocado oil, but it's right next to other ones that are making like they're all on the organic shelf,
Yeah.
but you have to look at a lot of them. So yeah, just pick what you really want to keep in your life, you know isn't great for you, and you are determined to find a better alternative.
Yeah. Yeah. The condiments is a great point. Because
Yeah.
especially with the serving sizes like you talked about, because that can add up super quickly. Yeah, I'm a big Primal Kitchen person. And what I will do sometimes too is just add in like a little drizzle of honey just to
Yeah.
sweeten it, you know. They even have a barbecue sauce that's unsweetened and same
Mhm.
thing. I can add my own honey to that. Or sometimes I might even add in my own coconut sugar, but like that way I'm controlling the amount
Yeah.
that's in there. I know exactly what's in there. I was going to
Yeah.
bring up peanut butter is peanut butter or
Yeah.
any nut butters really are another great point too, because there's so many of those oils that are hidden
Yeah. And so
in
easy to
those.
transition over. Like the
Mhm.
consistency of the peanut butter is a little bit different,
Something to
but
get used to.
so
Yeah.
it's something to get used to.
Yeah.
But then once you taste that and the one that you were raised on, because I mean I was raised on Jiffy and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
even the
Yeah.
healthy natural Jiffy, please still read the label. Just because
Exactly.
it says natural in the front, please read it.
Yes.
But that's another good point. That's a place you can
Yeah.
make a huge, especially if you're eating a lot of peanut butter. It's such a great place to shift.
Yeah. Yeah. We're both big on mindful eating. So how does that tie into label reading?
I love this question because when we think of mindful eating, and it absolutely is slowing down while I'm eating. It absolutely is. And a lot of my women, we teach to just take breaths in between or even before because we're so used to just shoveling food in. But I
Mhm.
challenge you to think of it as even when you're buying food, even before you go, can you be mindful? Like we just said, there are a couple things you want to change. So you're mindful about that. You're not rushing through the grocery store just grabbing stuff because it says natural, healthy. You're paying attention. Like that's really where you need to be doing that, I think. And you know that before you go. I love to fly through the grocery store, but I also know what I'm getting now because I love to go in
Exactly.
the morning when nobody's there,
Oh yeah.
right? I like no one's there. But if you start to think about, okay, I'm going to be there for, 5 extra minutes because these are the 3 things I'm switching out. And you can start reading labels and say, you did grab the ketchup that says sugar free and then it's got sucralose or something in it. And afterwards, like, how do these things make you feel? I think is
Oh,
another really mindful thing. Like it's not just about calories, it's about the ingredients and being mindful about how, like when you're tuning into your body, and I know Lindsie and I talk a lot about this in ours, is like how are you feeling after you eat, is how you can start tying to some of these things. And that might be the things that you're really like, these have to go because my
exactly.
stomach aches after I eat these things. But just being conscious and mindful when you go, when you're shopping, like before you even get there, and
Huh.
making the decision of what you, again, like what are your non-negotiables? What's something that needs to be in your life and you need the healthiest version of it?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I had a client when she first started my 90 days. She said she spent like 3 hours in the grocery store. Like when I taught her to start reading the labels and we talked specifically just about sugar. And Yeah, so I definitely would not recommend that. Do what Kerri said and pick like just, 2 or 3 that you're gonna
Uh,
actually read the
yeah.
label and try to find an alternative for. Because yeah, you could spend 3 hours potentially in there.
I thought you were gonna say she spent like $300, which you can also
No.
do. So
Yes.
it's like, again, and she was probably so fascinated because when you start
She
going down the
was.
rabbit
Mhm.
hole, you just cannot believe it.
Yeah, yeah. When she told me that, I was like, "Okay, well, she's a teacher, so she had the
Oh,
summer
yeah.
off so she could do it." But, most of us don't have time to spend 3 hours in the grocery store, but it's definitely yeah,
Yeah.
pick those couple things you wanna
Yeah.
tackle first.
So funny.
So you've mentioned, a client with diabetes, and so how does label reading change for people with specific health
Mm.
conditions?
Yeah. So that's such a good question. So there's no one size fits all for everybody, and there just isn't. But when we're talking about diabetes or pre-diabetic or type 2, like it's the sugar and the carbs.
Yeah.
And even the carbs, even if you're like, I don't even want to deal with counting carbs, I hear you. Like the sugar content is what needs to be in there. And like we said, 5 grams or less per serving in what you're eating. Now, that doesn't mean eat 10 servings because it's just 5 grams, right?
Yes.
We need to really keep an eye on that. Um, and a lot of times their doctor, the doctors will tell them you just need to eat less sugar, but what exactly does that look like? And so I'm a health coach. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm like, if you stick within these parameters, you should be okay. And then they need to figure out what's working for them, especially if they have on a continuous glucose monitor. They can see right then and there what's spiking for them. And we talk a lot about fiber with what they're eating. So that is a huge piece of it as well. But one of my clients, she's so cute. She was like, I had deli ham and it spiked my blood sugar. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
we don't think about it, but deli ham, it's cooked with whatever's in
Yes.
that bag, it's cooked with. It can be a lot of sugar. And
Yeah.
so it's been really eye opening for a lot of that stuff because even stuff without labels, right? Like deli ham
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
have a lot. So they really, really need to be mindful with that. That's why I'm like, if you can get a continuous glucose monitor, it is amazing to see. You're like your own little science experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah.
see what's going on. And it's really like, and then it's easier to kind of shift the lifestyle when you're aware. Like if you have the data, because a lot of people are, I want to see that it's spiking my blood sugar. Because I was telling them after I went to one of Anya's workshops, and she was talking about if you eat grapes on an empty stomach, just grapes, it will spike your blood sugar. And people just cannot believe that. And I'm like, a lot of fruit
Mhm.
does that. You're eating
Yeah.
pineapple on its own, watermelon on its own. So we talk a lot
Yeah.
about food combining as well, which is a huge piece. But if when they're transitioning from, like we've said, from anything that's in a box, you need to read the label and understand the sugar content.
Yeah, yeah. And it ties nicely into, my PCOS ladies too, because I
Yeah.
talk so much about insulin resistance. Like
Yeah.
again, every episode I feel like we end up talking about it. Um, and that's where the sugars, so yeah, like it might spike your sugar and you're doing fine now, but at some point your body's going to kind of give up and it's going to be harder and
Yeah.
harder. And that's where the insulin resistance comes into play, and it can play a huge role in women with PCOS. So even just tackling those sugars to start is, you could
Yeah.
see really big improvements, in your health and what's going on, your symptoms and all that, just by tackling the sugars at first.
Yeah. And so I was never diagnosed with PCOS, but I had lots of cysts and they
Mm,
burst a lot. And that's why I ended up needing surgery. When I cut out that sugar, ladies, those go away and everyone's different. But
yeah,
for me, they've gone away and I haven't
yeah,
dealt with them since. And I think it was because I was insulin resistant that like I was in so there was so much sugar that my body was trying to
exactly.
process and I was a mess. So
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
Lindsie.
um, Now again, you mentioned, everybody's different. So this next question may not apply to everybody, but What advice do you have for parents teaching kids or teens to read labels? I still feel like we need to kind of talk about this because everybody is going to be in a different place, in their journey. And I think this is important as well.
Is and it's so interesting because and we were talking a little bit about before, so my son's 12, right? And so he's understanding, but not like he wants to be cool. He wants to eat school lunch. There's sugar and candy everywhere. You go to a friend's, he goes to his dad's. The school lunches aren't fabulous. And I think there's ice cream and everything else they can be having. So for me, I started talking him to understand sugar content, and but I'm careful to not limit as much,
Yeah.
like try to explain with a limit, but not making it like it's forbidden because I know lots of people who were raised by hippie parents and never had any sugar. And as soon as they went to college, they binged on that. So we talk a lot about sugar content. That's the big thing. And food coloring is the second thing because these kids love candy. The food coloring will go away, but it's still there for now. And like I said, he's 12. And so we'll talk a lot about it, especially when he's like, well, can I have this candy? And we'll flip it over. And I'm like, well, it's candy, it's pure sugar. But oh, what dyes are in there? And it
Yeah.
opens up the conversation. Like if you want M&Ms, okay, well here's a better version, right? It's sugar, but it's the unreal. So yes, it's still sugar and there's still
Yeah.
a lot in it, but there aren't any dyes. And so we're trying to get him to understand that. I think that's age appropriate for him. And then if they're like teens, I would start talking to them about oils. Like have them start understanding oils. These are intelligent children. They learn a ton at school. They can wrap their head around that
Yeah.
and they can start to look at the ingredients. I mean, now my nephew and Alex, that's all they talk about is food dyes. Like, those stupid Calypso drinks. Not only is there like 55 grams of sugar, but it's got like blue coloring and something else in it. I'm like, so yeah, that's where I would
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like too, especially, the teen girls getting into, menstrual cycles and all that stuff
Yeah.
too. I think even just addressing some of those, they might even see these things that I was told for years were normal, during
Uh-huh.
my period,
Hmm.
that once I finally figured this out 20 years later, I
Yeah.
mean, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it does not have to be this way. So even learning that stuff at that age, at that
Yeah.
teenager age when they're really kinda all the hormones are going crazy too, and trying to manage that stuff more, I think just by teaching them, yeah, about the sugars or the oils like you mentioned, they
Yeah.
might see an improvement and they might start kinda, putting the pieces together as well once they maybe start feeling better, by
Oh,
trying some of that
yeah.
stuff.
I
Mhm.
was told I was the kind of person that just had cysts. Wrong.
Yeah, that's not normal. That's not
It's not
that's
normal.
not yeah, yeah. Um, we talked a little bit about it, but apps, websites, tools. I'm like, there's such a big trend with these, and I don't know. I'm like, there's good and bad for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest to kind of help people in either navigating certain, tools to use, certain apps to use, versus just flipping it over and reading it
Yeah.
themselves?
Yeah. So there's two apps that I like because you can scan the product and it makes it a little bit easier. So you're not at the grocery store for 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So the one is the Yuka app. Have you heard of that one? Everybody
Oh
likes
yeah.
that one.
I think
And
that's probably the biggest one that I
I
hear
think
about.
that's the
Yeah.
biggest one and Bobby approved. So I like it because it will tell you why it's good and bad. It will also suggest alternatives to what you've scanned. So that could be easier while you're at the grocery store in
Mhm.
that moment. Or you can look through your history on the phone, which is great. So you can be like, okay, I scanned this, but I still, we had it left at the house and I'm finishing it. Like, what can I look for? But this is what I will say about those apps because it still kind of doesn't give you the whole picture. But that's why
Exactly.
I'm like, tell me why it's bad. So Alex eats I call them meat sticks, but those like protein sticks of meat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I scanned it in Yuka and it said that it was rated poorly. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm looking through the ingredients and I'm like, why? Like, what could this be? And it was because of the sodium content. It said there was a lot of sodium in there. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, we don't have a history of that. He's not having any issues with it. Now, I'm not going to let him eat 4 of them, but he can
Yeah.
eat 1. So you still kind of have to navigate through it. And yeah, you have to kind of navigate and see, like, what does this information mean for you?
Yeah. Yeah. It may not take into account, the full picture, or yeah, that's
Yeah, and
perfect.
so
You definitely have to
earlier I
decide.
scanned this, right? And it out of it let me read it to you because I was like, this is fascinating. So it
Yeah, I'd be
scores out of
interested.
100, scores out of 100. A 58 out of 100 is good. Okay. But if my son gets a
Okay.
58 on a test, we're not good. And
Yeah.
so it's organic, it's got fiber, it has no additives. Oh, here are the negatives. It has 11 grams of sugar. Yes. Like, to me alone, that should be at the top. Because I was like,
Exactly.
why is this bad? Why are they saying that? And so you can look through and it'll tell you all the good things about it, all the bad things about it. But again, like, I know this isn't good. And a rating
Yeah.
of 58 is
Yeah.
not good. But if
Yeah.
this is better than what you're having, please have that as you're figuring out what you're going to transition to.
Yeah. So because I don't use those apps. So it does give you the reasons why
Yes,
they are
you have to click on
okay.
it. So let me go back cuz this is
Like
fun
why
with
it's
the
either good or
history.
bad.
Yeah, this is fun with the history of it. Oh, what the heck? Oh, now it won't do it. Um oh. Oh, it's trying to scan. That's why. No. So is my history. So then I'll scan something fun at the grocery store, just, So like Oscar Mayer hot dogs are bad for you. But it will say why. And you click on, like, I like to click on, like, if it says additives, you click on additives and
Okay.
it will open it. And it says there's 3 that are risk free, 1 that's limited risk, then 2 that are high risk. And then you hit more info on additives and it'll tell you exactly what they are. And
Okay.
it's nitrates.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
started to do a little bit of education. And you can click on it and see why some of these are good. But again, if you're a diabetic and they're telling you that this is good, but 11 grams of sugar is way too much for you in a serving,
Yeah.
that's not for you. So you have
Yeah.
to navigate through that. I taught a workshop where we used the Yuka app, and then everyone was just scanning the whole next day. I'm like, okay, now we're going like complete overboard.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, yeah, long story short, basically they can be great, but you still have to kind of be your own detective and know what works for you in that moment, which again can change as you progress. But yeah, for wherever you are in your life, yes, you have to still kind of know if that is truly what you need.
Yeah,
So,
but it can
good point.
shorten the time and take some guesswork out of it. So that's
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the most memorable client success story that you've had related to label reading?
Oh, good one. So I I don't judge in my program. Like, I have 0 judgment because I've been there. And
Been there.
so
Yeah.
yeah, totally been there, and you just don't know. And so one of the ladies in my 90-day program, she had missed a group call, and so I'm like, let's catch up. And it was week of cutting out added sugar. Like, that's a big week. I'm like, we need to talk this
Mhm.
out. And so I'm talking, she's like, yeah, I'm not eating anything with sugar. I'm like, you're not? What'd you have for lunch today? And she's salad with this dressing. I'm like, oh, it's a dressing from home. Brought my own dressing. I'm like, let's look at the dressing. And so as I'm talking to her, she turns it around and she starts reading what's in it. And she's like, and 5 grams of sugar. And this is when we were doing 0 added sugar, right? Because usually 5 grams, I'd be like, all right. And she was like, oh my God, why is there sugar in this? I'm like, yeah. And then she told me she had a snack. She had dried fruit, dried pineapple.
Mm.
Pineapple, okay?
Yeah.
And I love dried mango, and those you can actually find without added sugar. And so I'm like, well, let's take out that package. And she's like, oh, it has this amount of sugar. I'm like, oh, we don't care how much added sugar. And she's like, why are they adding sugar to it? And it was awesome because her and I were both just laughing, like, this is crazy. And
Mhm.
the aha moment of, oh, yeah. And watching that, like, realization, but then she was so great about finding alternatives and then sharing them with everybody because she was one
Yeah.
of those people that was like, I am eating ketchup. I am
Yeah.
not making my own salad dressing. I'm just not doing it. Like, she's like, I'm
Yeah.
busy. I work all these hours. Like, I'm just not going to do it. And she would find, like I said, she was on the hunt for the ketchup. And that's how I found the ketchup, because she was finding sugar-free options and then figuring out that there were garbage, that they
Yeah.
had artificial sweeteners in them. So it was great to watch her find all the alternatives, like making it her own. Again, this doesn't have to be go live somebody else's lifestyle. You figure out what you want to eat, and then you find the best versions of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. What's one myth about nutrition labels you want to just bust right now?
I think we've already busted it, but no health claim on the front should be taken for granted. Just
Yeah.
not the truth. It's just not the truth. You need to just read the ingredient list.
Yeah. Yep. Final tip for listeners who want to get confident reading labels on their own. What would you say?
I would say start in your pantry. So you're not standing at the grocery store doing all that. And you don't, and as you're doing it, again, pick the 2 to 3 things. Don't feel like you need to redo your entire pantry, because you might be like, I have nothing to eat.
Yeah.
So pick 2 to 3 things in there that you are committed to finding a healthier version of. It can be that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Yay!
And then, so yeah, don't miss Kerri. She's going to be speaking on the first night of our event, which is called Unwritten: Healing Beyond the Diagnosis. And you're going to be learning how to write the story that the doctor never told you was possible. So all of the speakers have healed beyond their own diagnosis and now are teaching others how to do the same by, walking and through their own journey. But otherwise, how would somebody get a hold of you? I'll put the links and everything in the show notes as well. But what's the best way to contact you? I know you also have a cookbook as well.
Yes. So if you go to my website, which is empower-wellnesscoaching.com, my digital version of my cookbook is on there. It's called the Sugar Knockout Cookbook. Some people prefer digital. I prefer a hard copy. The hard copy is on
Mhm.
Amazon for anyone that's looking up for that. But on my website, you can reach me through there. Like, message me if you have any questions. I have a lot of great resources on that. I'm also on Facebook, just Kerri Pagliarini, or on Instagram. I know you'll put that in the show notes, but it's the
Yeah.
sugar_ko_coach. So that's kind of where I'm hanging out these days. And I would love
Awesome.
to answer your questions and help you out.
Awesome. Well, we will see you on October 9th, the first night of this event that I'm super, super excited about. So details will be in the show notes on that one as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining me here today, and super excited for the next one.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to Kerri for joining me today and sharing all of her expertise on reading labels and decoding ingredients. I know this is going to help so many women feel more confident and empowered in their food choices, especially those living with PCOS. For those listening, if you want to learn more from Kerri, check out all her info in the show notes to get her tips, resources, and programs. And remember, understanding what's in your food is not about perfection. It's about making informed choices that support your health, your hormones, and your life. If today's episode spoke to you, just imagine what's waiting for you inside Unwritten. This event is going to be raw, real, and so full of hope, with speakers who get it, tools that help, and a community that truly understands. Click the link in the show notes to find out more and join us in October. Your story isn't over, it's just unwritten. Thanks again for tuning in to PCOS Unfiltered. I'll see you next time when we continue exploring real strategies for healing, nourishing, and thriving from the inside out.